Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Illusion Fox Gaming. Today we're going to be doing the Final Fantasy XIV quest, The Culture of Carrots. Hinegeshi is mulling over her recent findings. Oh, I'm possibly desperate to know what culture we shall experience next. Welcome back, my friend. We'll be continuing our experience at Garlean's a while longer, though I'd like you to set about procuring materials the next step in our research. Though, to be honest, I've still to decide on where that step might be. Well, that's where we've lived as people do in the freezing cold and the ferocious heat, so I'd say it's time we set our sights on an altogether different sort of inclement environment. Spot on as always, Hinegeshi. The of Garlemald may have overcome nature's fury with their sterling use of technology, but they are far too reliant on ceruleum. Consider this. How would they cope if they were suddenly unable to obtain their precious fuel? One should never be without a contingency plan in case they are thrust into a much less hospitable environs. That's certainly true. However, what kind of culture could take root in an area that is effectively uninhabitable? That's precisely what I've been mulling over of late, Hinegeshi. We should look into how exactly culture could come to exist in such places. The issue is, well, such regions tend to be uninhabited as a result of their harsh conditions. In short, there is nowhere that meets my criteria to begin with. Having the uninhabitable, yes, it does seem to be something of a paradox, but there could be merit in investigating the idea. You are a well-traveled adventurer, yes? Can you think of any place that may suit our curious criteria? A settlement on the moon by the name of Mare Lamentorum? Well, that would certainly fulfill my requirements, but even if it truly exists, it's not as if one could travel to the moon on a whim. You're being entirely serious, aren't you? Good gracious, you never fail to surprise. Indeed, however, I feel obliged to mention that we know absolutely nothing of life on the moon. Assuming it is even possible. Pray, head to Mare Lamentorum and gather whatever items you believe are necessary to recreate life there. Not sure exactly where Heimdall's last stand is. $600 is what we're after. Over and in here somewhere. Yeah, right up there. We can make that. That's not a problem. We will go and do the thing. Why? Because it's what we do. Wasn't exactly going at the right angle, though. That's 2. Four. And now we just need one more node. Now go turn it all in. So you know how to best store items from the moon. I wish to avoid accidentally ruining any precious samples you acquire on our behalf. I told you really are capable of travel to the moon. I know nothing of life on its surface, but even at a glance I can recognize the outstanding quality of these samples. These are carrots, aren't they? Not what I expect to be found growing on the moon, but thank you. Thank you very much. Professor, are you certain this is representative of life on the moon? But of course it is. Hinikeshi, my information comes from Loporrits, a race that calls Marilemtorum home. Oh, that's all well and good, but is it necessary for us to don these ridiculous outfits? Well, I thought my help was to experience life as the Loporrits do. And as for all these carrots, make no mistake, Professor, it is wonderful to know that agriculture is possible even on the moon. But I fear a diet comprised entirely of one type of root vegetable will not hold up to scrutiny. That may be so, but civilizations have had to move and adapt countless times throughout history, and they were not always able to eat exactly what they longed for. There may come a day when we too are forced to move to the moon. Professor doesn't even enjoy himself much. Perhaps he's not especially fond of carrots. I realize this is not the most opportune time to focus on my romantic pursuits, but soon in my time will come. I can feel it. And that is the quest, the culture of carrots. Thank you for joining us here today for this little video here on YouTube. Hopefully we'll see you again either for another video here on YouTube, or maybe one of our mini streams over on Twitch at the same channel name. Till then, though, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.